the liturgy. And so we'll have somebody stand with them. They'll talk about what they're going to do next. Then take it a bit further. What do we do? And take it a bit further. Take it a bit further. And everybody claps and cheers.
Right.
Because it's not about church as performance. It's about church as empowerment. A completely different dynamic. You know, we have people who've never spoken before, speaking. Had one older woman, came from a Baptist church, and all she'd ever done in church was make the tea. She's very timid. And the first time she said, oh, I'd just like to speak. And I said, oh, that'd be great. So she sat. She didn't even stand to start with, in the front row of circles, and she spoke. Everybody continued talking. No one heard the thing she said. But at least she did it. And we said, oh, that was great, you know. Next time maybe you'd like to stand up and speak a little louder. And she said, okay, it was good. So she did it. And next time she spoke a little louder. Still not many people heard. And the next time she spoke, people actually heard what she said. And now she's our best speaker. This person who within a traditional church had never had a place, let alone an honoured place, right? Only a subordinate role to play. I was telling people last night at the meeting I was there, one of the most powerful sermons for me is when a friend of mine who had a number of strokes spoke at church. He was having increasing strokes, and each time he had a stroke his disability increased. He lost his short-term memory, he became really unsteady on his feet, and he felt he was headed towards a catatonic state. He was a social worker, he knew about brain injuries, he knew what was happening to him, and he said, I'd like to speak in church, and I said, oh, that'd be great. And so the text he spoke on was the resurrection of the body. And he just had some notes there, got up with his walking stick and he had his notes there. And he read what he said. And he said, I believe in the resurrection of the body, and one day I will be healed. And then he fell over. And then he'd get up and he'd think, oh, what did I say? Oh, so he'd read his notes. I believe in the resurrection of the body, and one day I will be healed. And he'd fall over again. Then he'd get up and he'd wonder what he'd said, and he'd look at his notes and he'd say, I believe in the resurrection of the body, and one day I will be healed. How often do you know of in churches where a person is allowed to speak like that? Hardly ever. Huh? The bigger the church, the less the chance. Because if it goes wrong, the performance goes bad, the collection will go down, people won't come. But if we're trying to transform the institution into a community, then we need to create the space for the most marginalised and disadvantaged people to actually have a voice and to be heard. And could there be a more faithful proclamation of the gospel than that? I'm answering the question. No. Huh? He spoke with great power, out of deep pain. Hope in the midst of despair. Is there more powerful a proclamation of the gospel than that? No. Doesn't come with brilliant sentences, great syntax, scintillating quotes. Comes with spirit and power. Anyway, when the minister came back after his sabbatical, he just found this group of 60 people meeting in the basement of the church. And I said, what do you think, John? He said, I don't know, it's all contrary to canon law. And I said, what are you going to do? He said, well, I think I'd better go away and pray about it. And so He went away and prayed about it, and he came back and I said, well, John, what do you reckon? He said, what can I do? It's of God. And now in our church, we now have a number of congregations that are self-managed congregations that use the same kind of processes to manage their church life in the midst of that traditional hierarchical structure. There's a celebration of mutuality and community. The last thing I want to say before I close is that we should have no illusions about this process. Paul knew he was following a crucified Christ. And he actually said that the process of working for change in institutions is a painful process. And there are no pain-free options. He said in Colossians 1 verse 24, I seek to fill up in my flesh what was still lacking in regard to Christ's afflictions for the sake of his body, which is the church. Did you get that? I seek to fill up in my flesh what is still lacking in regard to Christ's afflictions for the sake of his body, which is the church. If we really want to work for change, let's have no illusions about it. It will be painful and frustrating and difficult. But the pain is the price we need to pay for change. The challenge, though, Paul says, is not to return evil for evil, but to overcome evil with good. And regardless of the way the hierarchy may treat us, we treat them as people that we accept. We respect them. We support them. We engage them authentically as people in the process, no matter how painful that might be for us.